You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat basement, average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
It's the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else.
I'm Alan Ray, and I do this for free. She's right, you know. It's Friday. Happy Friday. This is the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. And we need to make sure we keep talking. I'm Alan Ray. On a political-free Friday night on KLRN Radio, America's podcast network. It's been a week. Lord have mercy, has it been a week. Craziness. And the whole planet is just losing it. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay tuned. I'm going to have to listen to that whole song after I get done with the show. That's just one of them things. The live version is just epic. I mean, if you've never gone on YouTube and seen the live, I think it's off Stop Making Sense or something like that. They literally run in place for the entire song, and the comments below are just to die for. Life During Wartime by the Talking Heads. Everybody's just like, I'm tired just watching this video, and everybody else is like, can you play an instrument? Yes. Can you run in place for 5 minutes straight? Yeah, I think so. Okay, you're hired. You're part of the band. I'm Alan Ray. This is the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I do this for free. Not a dime paid. You can tell I don't get paid because I am broke. Even more so than I was a few weeks ago. The earth is turning in on itself. Things are going kind of sideways and wanky. And if you are playing Apocalypse Bingo along with the rest of us fine folks at KLRNRadio, you are now looking for your spot that says 2 hurricanes swirling into the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. Because it's going to happen. I preach and I talk and I try to convince and persuade people to be ready. If you know someone living in the Gulf, I probably don't even have to say this because these people get nailed by hurricanes all the time. But right now, okay, you're hearing this right now is the time to be preparing for this. This could get really, really ugly. I'm looking at the tracing, the modeling. Of course, the modeling changes daily. But if things go as planned, we have 2 hurricanes, one coming up around through the Honduras and the other one coming up through almost the Virgin Islands, Haiti, that Jamaica area. And they're going to possibly hit the Gulf of Mexico if these models are right. Texas, Louisiana area, Georgia, Florida area, all at the same time. Mississippi. This could be bad. This could be rough, especially if they, hurricanes, if I understand this right, when they hit the Gulf of Mexico, they just go nuts because, the Gulf Stream, the warm water, all that stuff fuels these bad boys. The one model kind of concerns me because it's looking like once it hits land, it's going to go straight north and possibly hit us in Michigan. We could use the rain. No big deal. By the time it gets here, it's just a rainy day. But what is this from? Orlando Sentinel says Tropical Depressions 13's organization remains questionable as it continues on a Floridian path Friday morning, according to the National Hurricane Center 8 a.m. update. TD13 has not grown into a tropical storm strength as its still maximum sustained winds are about 35 miles per hour. However, it's unclear as the storm faces a number of factors that could stymie its growth and others that would promote it, and it stays on track towards Florida. However, if the perfect storm happens, what happens is this TD13 and TD14 are going to take a turn. And TD14, am I reading this right? One of them, anyways, is down by the Honduras. It's going to head north. If it heads north, the cone, where it could possibly hit, is right around, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's going to hit right around Texas, Louisiana. Now, the other storm could possibly take a hook, come up around, and hit right around the way it looks, the Georgia or the Mississippi area, the Alabama area, and could affect everything. Between the 2 storms, could affect everything from Texas all the way to Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, all these places, Louisiana. 2 of them at the same time. And this is, I'm going to read this right from the article. So the possibilities range from the system degenerating into an open wave as seen in the GFS, American model, and the ECMWF, European model, to a major hurricane, the NHC said. Other meteorologists are more confident TD13 will become a hurricane at some point, as will TD14 as it heads towards Texas. Okay, TD14 is the one that's heading towards Texas, down to Honduras right now. Meteorologist Jamie King said early Friday, both will become a hurricane and possibly 2 hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico at the same time, King said. Whichever storm develops into a tropical storm first will receive the name Laura, and the second will be named Marco. So Laura and Marco. TD13 is 255 miles east of northern Leeward Islands with a maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. It's just a gusty breeze right now. TD13 is expected to move near or north of Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico by Saturday. There's a tropical storm watch for the southeastern Bahamas, including Acklands, Crooked Islands, Long Cay, Inaguas, Mayaguana, and the Ragged Islands, as well for the Turks and Caicos Islands, St. Martin, Saba, all of the Virgin Island area right there. TD14 on Friday morning is 160 miles east of Isla Roatan, Honduras, with a forward motion of 12 miles per hour and a maximum sustained wind of 35. So if these bad boys hit the Gulf, pick up, and the worst case scenario breaks out, which we don't really know at this point. There's really no way to tell at this point. They could hit the United States and really wreak some havoc. I mean, this is crazy. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to preach a little bit. Get ready now. Start making plans now. You don't necessarily have to run out and buy all the ingredients for French toast like we do here in Michigan whenever there's a blizzard. And by that, I mean, milk, eggs, and bread. Everybody runs out, and I don't get that. I never have gotten that. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be a blizzard. Got to go out and get milk, eggs, and bread. Because, French toast is the official blizzard food. I doubt they do that they probably do something, but I know they get water. I've heard people from that area say water just disappears. You should be stocking up on that now. It's the panic has not ensued. Nothing's going crazy yet. Go out and get your water and your freeze-dried fruit, things like that now. Your alternate methods of cooking, things like that. I preach this all the time. You should already have the alternate methods of cooking somewhere close to you. I mean, I have it in my truck. I have other methods of cooking, that I could whip out that I use when I'm out ice fishing, but I could also use sitting at home if the power goes out. I have 2 canisters of propane usually at the ready, so we can use the grill. Because, it's summer, we grill anyways. But anyways, start working on that stuff right now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. And by God, if you're told to get out, get out. You should have your bug out bags already ready. I don't understand the mindset of people who live on the coast that, there's a category 50,000 hurricane coming at you. I'm going to tough it out. Why? You pick up and get out. Well, you don't know anybody inland? If I lived on the coast, if I lived someplace that's prone to having these huge hurricanes hit, I would from day one, okay, you move into an area. The first thing you do when you move into an area, before you even buy into an area, analyze what kind of emergencies happen in that area. Are you 10 miles from a volcano? Well, don't buy a house. That's all I got to say. Maybe you shouldn't buy that house. Are you in the shadow of the Grand Hoover Dam where if it collapses, you're going to drown? Think twice. But I understand it's beautiful along the coast. It's beautiful in Florida. All the nice weather and everything. However, your backup plan should have been part of you moving to the area. If I have to pick up and go, where am I going to go? How am I going to pick up? What roads am I going to take? Which roads get blocked immediately from people trying to flee the area? What can I take as back roads? Think. People don't think about things like it's unpleasant to think about things like this. It really is. I've read a few books. Part of my college education was, not a very small part, was emergency training, but it piqued my interest. And I started reading a lot of books on emergency preparedness, not just on, your personal level, but on your business level, on national level, your area level. And in all honesty, if you're not thinking that way at least once a year, or after every time there's somewhat of an emergency, sit down and analyze what happened. Every time. And just not to sit here and pontificate about all this stuff, but just as an example, a couple years ago, we had the water crisis in Toledo. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there was Lake Erie started getting these blooms, and it affected Toledo's water. Toledo's water became undrinkable for a couple of months. And it was a real problem. And I was interested in what was going on. The outpouring of help came from places you'd never think of. Farmers in my area, which I'm 35, 40 minutes from Toledo. Farmers in my area were loading up big tankers of water and just driving their tractors and trucks to Toledo, parking them in mall parking lots and places, and just giving the water out. God bless those kinds of people. You know, that's the kind of people that help us through emergencies, and that's the kind of person you want to be. Instead of being the liability, be the asset. I preach it all the time. But every time there's an emergency, or every time there's some kind of, like this pandemic, everything going on, you should be writing notes down, writing thoughts down, looking at patterns, looking how people act around you, looking at the reactions, putting that stuff in your mind. Because you can draw on that kind of information if something happens again. This pandemic is a gold mine for emergency management. You know, yeah, we can go into the politics of it. We can go into all kinds of stuff. But the early onset of this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, we really didn't know what we were in for. And you looked at some of the things that were hoarded. The great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Oh my God, that still to this day doesn't make sense. I mean, if we were facing some, I don't know, some pandemic where the first thing that happens was just massive, diarrhea or something like that, I could see the whole toilet paper hoarding thing. I still to this day don't get it, but it happened. Canned goods went off the shelf. All of these misreports, there was tons of misreporting on, we're going to have a meat shortage. Oh, we're going to have canned goods shortage. Oh, we're going to have this. You better. And the reportings of these lies, these mistruths, these uncertainties actually started the shortage. If nobody would have said a word about it, you would have never known that there was possibly something that might have caused a meat shortage. And yes, there was for a time being things that were scarce on the shelf. You just had to know where to go. You just had to know where to look. The problem was the large corporations, the Walmarts, I don't know what you get, Kroger's, places like that. Yes, they were having a hard time because they get their meats from these giant suppliers, and these giant suppliers were running out. Yours truly, my family, we go to a local meat market who gets their meats and stuff like that from local slaughterhouses. We never noticed it. We never had a problem. I don't trust where some of these places get their meats. I just don't. I know when I go to the market I go to get my steaks, my chickens and things like that, I know where they come from. I drive by the farms where they get them. So there you have it. Something to put in your mind. But I digress. The time to plan is now. And it's also during the emergency, during things that are happening, write stuff down. Write your thoughts. Write what you notice. Write what people do, because people do squirrely things. And when everything's done, when everything's back to pretty much normal, you sit down and you analyze your notes. You analyze what happened. I have not had a tornado come through here, a power outage, a blizzard, or whatever. I have not had any big emergency in this area happen without me learning something from it. Without my having noticed something that the next time I take care of. Learn. But as for now, it's duck and cover, kids, because it could get a little crazy down there. Speaking of weird things happening, we almost got hit by a meteorite. Sweet meteor of death barely missed us. We were relying on it. But anyways, two 20-year-old students from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, I'm not going to even try to mention their name, have discovered that the asteroid known to have flown closest to the Earth earlier this week, designated asteroid 2020 QG, soared 2,950 kilometers above the surface of the Earth and went past without impacting the planet. NASA didn't pick it up. Your government officials didn't pick it up. These two 20-year-old kids picked it up. Does this instill confidence in you? On Sunday, this is last Sunday, these two students were working on a research project from their respective homes in Pune and Haryana, which is in India. Discovered this object while scanning the day's images just hours later using data from the Robotic Zwicky Transient Facility, the ZTF, in California. On being asked how they discovered the asteroid, Sharma told one of them's name is Sharma, told the Free Press Journal, initially when we were flagging the candidates, it was just like any other asteroid for us because the streak looked almost similar. We could further comment on its orbit and location only after doing the orbit estimation and other processes of its image and data. However, we were quite excited on getting the findings the following day after the orbital estimation was done. That thing, 2,950 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, that was close. That's very, very close. And it was only the third day that one of them was working on the research project, and making that discovery was so exciting to them. It was. But don't worry. Apparently, the asteroid that almost hit us, 2020 QG, was about the size of an SUV. If it did hit us, it probably would have burned up mostly in the Earth's atmosphere. But that goes to show you that the people who are supposed to be monitoring things, the officials we rely on for our protection, may not always know what's going on. Doesn't that frighten you? I'm telling you, weird week. The whole thing is just bizarre. There's so much going on. You put this show together and you start digging into some of these things. You go down these rabbit holes and you realize that the planet is, and always has been, in sort of a chaotic state. Nobody the people that walk around, straightening their ties, pontificating and looking down their nose at everybody else and going, we're the experts, we know best. Don't really. They don't. Because as we've seen time and time again through all kinds of natural disasters and all kinds of man-made disasters, the planet usually always wins in the long run. May take a while. And when we come back from the bottom of the hour break, which we're not really quite ready to go to yet, we're going to discuss that in depth because there are some things going on that may or may not be to our benefit. That being said, we're closing in on fall. Summer is just about over. It's starting to get dark around 8 o'clock, which in a way sort of saddens and depresses me. In a way means that, on the weekends I can start my evening fires out on my patio just a little. I always like this time of year. However, we've canceled a lot of college football. We've canceled a lot of sports, things like that. Things that make the fall exciting sort of bums me out. We need to pay, and I've said this before on this show, we talk about mental health a lot. We talk about different things. You need to be in touch with your feelings, your emotions. Part of this whole emergency planning is how you feel about things. It's really easy to slip down that rabbit hole of depression right now. And I'm seeing in the background all of these little tiny, articles coming out about exactly what I'm talking about. They're not really mentioning this on TV. They're not really mentioning this on the radio. But one of the side effects of locking down from this pandemic is depression and suicide rate. They are going off the deep end. They don't want to talk about it because if they talk about it too much, you may see a lot of protesting and things like that turn to opening everything back up and allowing people to get back into, communicating with each other. It turns out that communicating via Zoom and Skype and all these places isn't like being there. isn't like the whole thing. People want to commune with each other. They want to dine with each other. They want to have drinks together. They want to have coffee together. They are aching. And even if you're kind of an introvert like I am, I still long for the days of being on stage and playing music for people and seeing them enjoying what I'm doing. I still long for the days of going out to eat after church on a Sunday. I'm not fighting the depression part of this because for the most part, my life really hasn't changed a whole lot. The only thing that's really changed for me is I don't go into crowded places a lot. I don't like wearing masks, so I don't go out a whole lot. But we even have, my wife and I, even and some others, have gone out to eat. We go to restaurants. You have to wear the mask going into some of the, any of the restaurants that's open. And when you get to your table, you take them off. But it's still just weird. It's uncomfortable. The looks of people's faces where they don't trust anybody around them. We are programming people to not trust anybody or anything. Totally throwing away logic, totally throwing away facts, totally throwing away everything that has gone on this planet for thousands of years. We have breathed each other's germs and breathed each other's viruses since man was man. That's just the honest to God truth. So, yes, it's a virus we don't know much about. We didn't know much about it first. We do know a lot about it right now. We know how it spreads. We know how things, we look back at the beginning of this and, you were being told, oh my gosh, wipe down your packages, wipe down everything. If you get a package from Amazon, wipe it down. Well, now we know that the actual spread of this, and you may not know it at all. And Rick and Stacy were talking about it this very morning on the Daily Dose. I sat on the Daily Dose for the last half hour and did my little rant thing because Stacy had something to do, but she had a great point. As she was talking about an article that came out that people were polled on the facts of COVID-19. The overwhelming majority of people have no clue about this virus. They don't have a clue about this virus because television and radio and media go back and forth about what, quote, facts, unquote, are real and what are not. People just don't know. Now, working where I do, doing what I do, being close to what I do, I've been able to glean some facts, some things from some of the eggheads that work around me, the engineers, the medical experts, and they know that it takes extended periods of exposure in order to catch this. And they also know that it comes through what they call aerosol, which means, you're breathing in and out. But it also takes a while for you breathing somebody else's germs to actually get it. It's not something that, oh my gosh, I touched a doorknob and it had COVID on it, now I'm going to die. The chances of you getting for something like that are very, very slim. That being said, we are coming up on flu season again. You are going to have to, pretty much deal with whatever flu this year holds. Well, we know how to combat the flu. You got to wipe things down and all that. But we're entering an age where Clorox wipes, I mentioned this before, Clorox wipes aren't expected to make a reappearance until the middle of next year. You're going to have to figure other ways to disinfect and clean things around your house this winter. It's going to be a bizarre winter. However, I do not accept the idea of new normal, of going around wearing a mask all the time. I don't accept the idea of new normal, of shifting your eyes around, not trusting anybody anywhere, even your loved ones, that they might have some kind of weird virus. That's not the new normal, and you should refuse to accept it too. We are already working on what they're calling an antivirus to get rid of this thing, and once it's out, you should be out. And even so, look at the facts. I urge you, I beg you to look at the facts. Look at the statistics. Look at what's going on. People under 50 just aren't dying from this thing. Very, very rarely. If you're under 50, the only way you die is if you have an underlying disease. Now, I'm not going to say that's, the media is going to rush right out there and say, well, what about this person? What about that person? Okay, 2 people out of 350 million in this country. What's the odds? You got better odds of getting struck by lightning. So they're always going to come up with the what ifs. The media will. You study the facts. You go to cdc.gov. You look at the stats. You are smarter than that. Look at the actual facts. Study the actual facts. Take your time. Turn off the stupid television. Quit watching the 24-hour news cycles. None of them have been right. None of their models have been accurate. They go back and forth and back and forth. They're politically motivated. They're monetarily motivated. A lot of these studies you see that are coming out, and you can always tell which ones are politically and monetarily motivated because they use the words may and could and possibly. They use words that leave open-ended doubts while they're trying to convince you of what they think are the facts. See, they always leave those out, so they're not facts. When they have to use may, could, possibly, whatever, those words right there, when they use those words, they don't know. Just when you see, well, wearing a mask may help the coronavirus. Not wearing a mask may be deadly. Could be deadly. Whatever. When they say things like that, they don't really know. And when you read their articles, you get 2/3 of the way down through it, you realize, no, they don't really know. So I urge you, set the politics aside, set the money aside, look for yourself, study for yourself. Don't just Google articles because you're just going to get the same crap. If you're going to use Google Scholar, where you actually get peer-reviewed stuff. Even then, you still get political biased articles. And you can tell. You can always tell. It's crazy. We're at the bottom of the hour. We've blown by it. I've been lecturing you enough on this stuff. When we come back, we got a whole bunch more stuff, including the problems with contact tracing apps and little tiny robots. And of all things, genetically engineered mosquitoes. Don't go away. Be back in a moment.
Listen now and don't forget, if you go for that solid jive, you can always keep the dream alive. Palin with Al.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I am your humble host, Alan Ray, in Gadsden Studios in the corn and bean fields in southeastern Michigan. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really, really enjoying bringing you the content that I'm enjoying. If you get a chance, I got two other podcasts. Every other Friday, I do this for free, and this is our non-political every other Friday that KLRNRadio does. We have In the Crease, we have Juxtaposition, we have Chick Chat, we have my show. I do this for free. This happens on this Friday. On the opposite Fridays, I have Hardcore Patriot. We have Lost Wanderer on those Fridays. We still have Chick Chat. They've been doing every week. Excellent content. KLRNRadio is just growing like crazy. If you get a chance, check us out. Also, now I know I have to pre-record this show because I'm back to work in my normal hours, and my normal hours are the afternoon shift, so I don't get home till after midnight. However, Sunday evenings, if you're hearing my voice and you're in the Michigan area and you like that political content, check out Circumspice, the right side of Michigan. On Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, I drop it. I go live on KLRNRadio. And I have a chat room where I get, picked on, and we go back and forth by the usual Chat Lives Matter gang in our chat room. Get in there and join me. That one, it's not 100% political. We talk about everything going on in Michigan, which is the state that I have lived in all my life, outside of a couple of years when I lived in Nashville when I went to college. It's a good time. And I love doing the live show. I love doing the live content. But if you can't make it on Sunday night, it's out there in podcast form throughout the week. I appreciate it. I really do. We've been talking about emergencies. We've been talking about the planet doing stupid things. I don't really know how to feel about this next story. Now, if you live in Michigan, you know that the mosquitoes around here are as big as vultures. They will carry you off. They will suck all of the blood out of you and leave your dried carcass in the middle of a dirt road somewhere. Not really. But anyways, I'm looking to this article. I use Pocket to collect these articles. Pocket is an app that you can put on your computer, your phone, your tablet, whatever. And when you see an article you like, you just add it to Pocket. And on your phone, it will actually read everything back to you. The voice is a little bit hokey, but it's pretty cool. You know, I took a 2-mile walk this morning, and I had this thing playing, listening to these articles. And I was thinking to myself, listening to this, am I really cool with this or not? And the article is from CNN.com. 750 million genetically engineered mosquitoes have been approved for release in the Florida Keys. Now, this is what's going on. A plan to release over 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes into Florida Keys in 2021 and 2022 received final approval from local authorities against the objections of many local residents and a coalition of environmental advocacy groups. The proposal had already won state and federal approval. Now, this is what's going on. This is not new science. They've been researching this for 10 years. What they've done is they've gone in, and the EPA has approved this back in May. The pilot project is designed to test if a genetically modified mosquito is a viable alternative to spraying insecticides to control the basically different things that mosquitoes carry. Zika, dengue, chikungunya, the yellow fever, all the things mosquitoes carry. Well, what this does is they genetically modify the mosquitoes to where the female larvae, now female mosquitoes are the ones that bite, that draw blood. Males do not. And what they've done is they've genetically modified these mosquitoes to where the female larvae will die out before the mosquito reaches adulthood, which is when they start biting. The big question starts coming in, what happens when you start playing God like this? You know, as much as we hate mosquitoes, as much as we sweat, they are part of the environment, the ecological system that makes up who we are, what we do. And my personal thinking is, okay, yes, I hate mosquitoes. I have my yard sprayed for mosquitoes every year, and it works. When I'm sitting out on my patio, I don't want to be doing the Macarena, while I'm out there smacking at mosquitoes all the time. I want to be left alone. But I do understand, and we do have things like marlins in my area, bats, all of these animals that depend on mosquitoes. That is their livelihood. That's what they eat. How is this going to affect them? I can honestly side with the people who are protesting this. Do we know enough about it? What is the long-term goal of genetically modified mosquitoes? Yes, I know they've been in, the EPA has said there's nothing wrong with them, yada, yada, yada. But what happens if this gets out of control? And what happens if the mosquito population is eradicated, disappears? Well, what happens to the bats? What happens to the fish? Fish eat mosquitoes. What happens to all of the critters in the food chain that eat mosquitoes? Better yet, genetic modification of these mosquitoes. If they do eat these genetically modified mosquitoes, and this is going to set off a generation after generation after generation of these mosquitoes, is it going to have a long-term health effect on the animals that use mosquitoes for food? We want to know these things. Of course, they're already spraying a bunch of pesticides and things like that trying to kill the mosquitoes. And we already know that a lot of those things are horrible for you. Just horrible. So it really is. I mean, if it works, great. If it works, fine. Then they say that they've tested field tested. What is this? OX513A, batches of sterile mosquitoes, which they call OX513A, have been field tested in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Brazil, reporting a large success rate with each release. For example, a trial in urban area of Brazil reduced the Aedes aegypti by 95%, which is a really bad mosquito. But when the word spread in the Florida Keys that the mosquitoes was on the way, the public backlash was swift. More than 100 people and now up to 242,000 people have signed proposals saying to keep that out of there. I'm torn. Do we need more studying on this? Do we need to figure out what the long-term goals are? And like I said, we were just talking about this before the break. These so-called experts that believe they got things figured out may or may not know everything about what's going on. I mean, look at the mistakes that have been made over the generations that have led to things like, I don't know, areas drying up from water because we create dams, dams breaking and killing a lot of people. You know, just here in Michigan, we had an entire series just a few months ago of dams break and destroyed a lot of homes. Thank God nobody was killed. But there's a lot of property damage, a lot. When man tries to tame nature, a lot of times we screw things up and we end up causing more problems. So, yeah, be advised if you live in Florida, they're doing this stuff. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy. Speaking of things that are weird and creepy, according to sciencemag.org, they're creating these little robots. And it's an insect-sized microbot weighing less than 1 gram. It does not run on a battery. And, you know, robots, they have to have a power source to be a robot. And this thing does not run on batteries at all. It runs on alcohol, like a lot of you do out there. I kid. It is an insect-sized microbot that runs on methanol. Liquid fuels like methanol hold more energy per unit volume than batteries, especially on a small scale. This means the methanol-powered microbots don't require an additional external power source such as wires or electromagnetic fields. They could therefore theoretically move around with more autonomy than their electrically powered counterparts. Don't these people ever remember all of these movies about robots that go rogue? Oh my gosh. We're tempting Skynet fates right here now, people. The roe beetle weighs only 88 milligrams and can haul objects up to 2.6 times its weight. Now, the problem they're having with these roe beetles is pretty much, you know, how do we refuel them? And this was in Science Robotics, that it can carry an additional 95 milligrams of fuel, which could power the robot for up to 2 hours. It's also capable of climbing up slopes and can navigate surfaces with all kinds of different textures, including glass, a foam sleeping pad, and concrete sidewalks. They're cool looking. They look like little bugs, and they're neat. And I could think of 1,000 uses for them. But science now needs to figure out how to refuel the robot to keep it continuously powered over longer periods. If they can program the roe beetle to communicate with its human operator, methanol-powered microbots could one day act as artificial pollinators or assist complex surgeries. I could send one of these things into you to take care of a cancer tumor or something like that. I could see that. And it's kind of a neat little thing. It does. It looks like a little beetle that's got little hands that stick up that I assume carry things. But that, you know, microtechnology is very interesting. I've always had a little section of my brain dedicated to studying microtechnology, and this is cool to me. But yeah, it's running on the type of alcohol that's commonly found in solvents and antifreeze, and it powers the thing up to 2 hours. Now, if they could get the thing powered up to, I don't know, 2 days, 4 days, no telling what they could do with this. It's kind of neat. I mean, there could be some pretty cool things that, you know, then there could also be some nefarious things that it could do. You have to keep a watch on that microtechnology. Good Lord. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. Security problems. This is a security alert. Have you heard of contact tracing apps? Contact tracing apps. Okay, if you live in my state, in the state of Michigan, contact tracing apps are being pushed like crazy. But are they safe? Now, this is from wybestbroker.com. When Albion College announced it would reopen in June, it said that it would put health measures in place. This is to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. This includes reduced lecture sizes and virus tests for staff, and it also has introduced a mandatory contact tracing app with a number of privacy issues. The report highlights the problems facing these apps and the institution that introduces them. The Aura app, which is what they're using, is designed to alert the school when a student tests positive for the virus. This is to let students know when they may have come into contact with someone else. Yeah, we know that. But rather than relying on a local Bluetooth proximity signal to tell when a contact has occurred, Aura instead uses location data, which leaves it open for a lot of invasion of your privacy. It's a practice that's been criticized but for creating privacy issues. The approach allows the college to keep tabs on where students are going. In fact, it can, place restrictions on their movement. Aside from having to install the app, students were told they are not allowed to leave the campus without its permission. That will be for the duration of the semester. They fear that contact with the wider community might bring buyers back to the campus. And with this app, using location data, they can see that. Now, investigations showed other unintentional privacy oversights and secret keys for the app's back-end servers, and they were found in the app's code. This allowed one researcher to access patient data stored in the app's database and in cloud storage. They also discovered an issue with the QR codes in the app that the app generates. These are designed to confirm whether or not someone has tested negative for the virus. A network analysis tool showed that the QR code was not generated on the device. Instead, it was generated on a hidden part of the Aura's website. The web address that generated the QR code included the Aura user's account number. However, it isn't visible from the app. It was a rush job. Everybody's rushing to get these apps in place. But are they safe? We have an entire episode, we have an entire show dedicated to things just like this. Cyber Wars. I encourage you to go to Cyber Wars on KLRN's vast talent base and listen to all of them. They address this stuff. These apps, in the name of, quote, keeping you safe, unquote, are probably going to cause more damage in the long run. I'm not even going to lie to you. There's a lot of times I leave my phone in the truck when I know I'm going to be in a place where there's a lot of people. And even a lot of times when I am carrying my phone, it's in a Faraday bag. It's nobody else's business what I do. No, I don't do anything illegal. But I also know that you can use contact tracing apps. And if you think you've avoided contact tracing apps, think again. I mean, an update that happened back in April? It basically downloaded a contact tracing app onto your phones. All of them. You had the option of turning them off, but as we already know, Google doesn't really turn off. And Google will use third-party vendors, will use all kinds of different things to collect the same data that if you just left it on, you would be fine. Results. Yeah, that's kind of funny. I said Google twice and my phone turned on. What? What do you want? Yeah, I'm Google. I'm listening. Not to go all Alex Jones on you, but if you value your privacy, and there again, it's not just about, being paranoid. It's about what people with nefarious purposes can do with your information. It's not just about government. It's about hackers. It's about people who may want to do harm to you and your family. They can get this information. We live in a scary world. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. The best way to avoid being hacked like this is to not have the technology on. You want to go somewhere? And I'm saying this, but I feel sort of hypocritical because I rely on it. I run. When I take off down the road or down the trail or whatever, I run a long way on weekends. If you were a hacker, you could track my every step because I actually have an app on that's showing exactly where I'm running, live time. And I could share that data and information with other people so they can watch me run. With my wife in case I drop over running 12 miles on the weekend. There's always that possibility. Oh, we're down to a short time. What else do we have here? Oh, speaking of Google, Google adds wildfire information to searches and maps. Every time I say this, my phone turns on. So you know what, Mr. Phone? You're going off. Sorry. Bye-bye. Thank you. As fires blaze across California, local and federal officials see hope in providing more real-time information. Okay, this is the good side of what Google does. Google is Satan. We already know that, but they have the coolest toys. Google announced Thursday it's updating its maps and searches to detail information about the size, boundaries, and locations of fires in the U.S. Okay, that's a good thing. That's good Google. We have seen upticks in wildfire. Okay, yeah, we know that. On Wednesday alone, more than 90 fires were burning in California, and officials ordered the evacuation of tens of thousands of people. 26 fires were bad enough to require state help. We are all on edge, said Abby Browning, chief of the Office of Private Sector Fire Department. But Google's new feature comes as the company increasingly aims to centralize information on its own properties rather than directing users to third-party websites. So what it's going to do is, and I can see where this would be cool, and it's going to tell you where the boundaries of these wildfires are, so you don't get caught up into places that are bad. All right, this is using technology to be cool. They can also do the same to earthquakes, to coronavirus hotspots, the two hurricanes we have heading toward the Gulf Coast that we were talking about at the beginning of the show. If they hit, Google can trace a line to where the worst part of the damage is, so you can stay the heck away from it. Now that's using it for good. It really is. But see, the problem I'm having with a lot of technology lately is how much bad is being gleaned from them trying to be good. You know, there's always the people going around, and I don't understand why people feel they have to be this way. But there's always people running around trying to hack everything, trying to hack your personal information, trying to use it to, you know, make themselves wealthy or whatever. And it's crazy. And you can't count on these giant corporations to keep you safe. I mean, just right now, Facebook is they finally won a preliminary approval to settle their U.S. facial recognition lawsuits. They were literally using face recognition illegally. I mean, it's crazy. Facebook allegedly violated the state's law through its tag suggestion feature, which allowed users to recognize their Facebook friends from previously uploaded photos, according to the lawsuit. And you can find people by their face recognition. If they don't want to be found, you can still find them because your face is out there. You know, Google your own name and go into images and see how many times your face comes up. Mine does quite a few because I've played in bands. I do this. I've been all over the internet. So my face is out there. If you really want to find me, you can find me. I'm not that hard to find. So I focus more on if you have nefarious purposes and are trying to find me, you're going to really regret your decision to try to find me. That's what I focus on. But anyways, you have things like this happening. You have to be careful. If you don't, and there's people out there that have been stalked, that have had things happen in their past, and they don't want to be found by certain people. And all of these apps, all of these things combined together, your Facebook, your social medias, your Google, whatever you have, this all combines to make it a lot easier to find you. And not to get political, but during these riots and protests and things like that, the people who turned bad, the people who are chucking bricks through windows and all that, thought they were getting away with it. And one by one, they're slowly having to answer for their crimes because they were stupid enough to have their phones on them. They were stupid enough to allow somebody else to film them. Oh, look, Johnny's chucking a brick through a window. A couple days later, people show up, arrest him, take him away because of facial recognition apps and things like that. Can't be too careful. We are winding this show down. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with me. I hope you've walked away with something that you didn't know beforehand. Maybe a little more paranoid with what I've said. I didn't even get into this, and I've talked about this the last I do this for free, the anomaly that the Earth's magnetic field is starting to split and what that might do to us. It's constantly changing. We'll get through it. We'll survive. I'm Alan Ray. This was the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I still do this for free. Join Juxtaposition next with Rick and Orty. Join us next week when I will have a Hardcore Patriot. Join me Sunday night, every Sunday night at 8 p.m. as I go live with Circumspice, the right side of Michigan. I have a blast with that show. And this one's going to be quite interesting because there's things going on in this state that's going to going to either burn us to the ground or make us better. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I digress. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. God bless you. God bless America. We'll talk again soon.